Hi, I'm Larry Puckett, the DCC Guy. Well, the last 3 videos, we talked about various aspects of programming decoders. And based on the number of views, which were declining with each video, it is obvious you guys don't want to hear about programming for a while. So we're going to get back to working on the model railroad. And today I'm going to show you how I go about installing a backboard or a back scene, depending on what you want to call it, here on the modules. And we'll get started with that in just a minute. Hit that little red subscribe button, and when the little bell comes up, click on it and click all. Okay, let's get started, and what I want to show you today is the backdrops and how I'm going to go about installing backdrops here on the model railroad. And I will tell you, I'm going to use the same method as I used, 3-4 years ago for the old module. But I've made some basic changes in that as well. So if we take a look, this is just a piece of tempered hardboard. It's a compressed wood fiber product. Here in the States, it's often called masonite. It's called other things other places. Just look for tempered hardboard is what you're looking for. So it's a fairly firm, stiff, hard material. It's flexible. It will bend. So that's good because I've got a big curve to put this on. And I'll show you how to do that later. And I just, as you'll see in a little while, I just take this stuff and paint it with a roller, get it a nice sky blue, and then you can attach any back scenes you want. You can paint trees, whatever on here. You can do whatever you want. So the basic blue serves as your sky, and you can add whatever you want, whatever images you want to it. And what I'm going to use here on the modules is a combination of 1x2s and 1x4s. And the reason I'm using 2 different ones, I'll show you here. So let's come on in close and take a look. Now here at the end, where 2 modules join, we're obviously going to have 2 pieces of hardboard coming together, forming the back scene. So in order to join those 2 and prevent them from flopping all over the place, that's where I'm going to use the 1x4. So as you can see here, I've drawn a line dividing the board in half. So the hardboard will fit on half of that, on each side. And of course, it's going to be on this side here. So it's going to come right to the end of the module. Okay, so it's going to sit like that. Of course, it's going to be painted on the other side. Of course, the other back scene, the other hardboard, will come in from the other side, and they'll join together here in the middle. So this piece here, this section, will be for the backboard on this module, and then the other half will support the backboard from the other module. Okay, so that's how we'll do it at each end of the modules. And I'll go over how I'm going to do that in just a second. But basically, I've pre-marked these. I will drill these out, and we'll put screws in them, and that'll be it. But what about in the center here? Okay, let's take a look at that. Okay, now this is the center line right here of the module. So it's equidistant. It's 2 feet from each end, because this is a 4-foot module. So for this one, we will simply attach the 1x2 right there. And so that will support the backboard at that location. So the real question is, how am I going to hold the backboard in place once it's set up here? Well, as I showed you previously, when I did this last time, I simply glued, using Gorilla Glue, a piece of 1x2 block to it, screwed another one to it, so that it could be used like that. And that has done very, very well. It's cheap, it's easy, you can toss it together in no time, not a problem, and it holds very well. This is a piece of the backboard from the old module that I put together, 4 years ago, something like that. And you can see, I mean, it is held up very, very well. Matter of fact, I pulled one off of another piece of backboard. And as you can see here, when I pulled this block of wood off of the other piece of hardboard, it ripped it instead of the glue joint itself failing. So this stuff really does hold, and it holds up well over a number of years. So that's what I'll be using again. So it'll sit up here just like this, and That will act as sort of a clamp, basically, to hold it in place. And then to remove it, you just move it up, and it's free. Put it back in place, turn it, and it's stable. Okay, very simple system to use, and I'm going to be using that on all of the uprights. So let's get started installing these guys now. Okay, so as you can see, I've marked it, dividing it in half here. I've marked this line so that it will be even with the top of the module, and then I've even marked the spot where I want to put my screws. So what I want to do now is first, I've got my level, so let's check it, and turn it this way, and we've got a good bubble there. So we've got a good upright vertical alignment. Now the next thing, I've got my countersinking bit here. So that countersinks the hole that I'm going to drill so that the screws will go right in. And for this, I'm going to use these wood screws here. They're 6 by 1 5/8. This is what I've been using for a number of years for all of this work on all the modules. So they hold up very well too. So you can pick these up at your local hardware store. I think I got these at Lowe's. So I have my quick grip clamp here from Irwin to hold everything in place, and I'm going to set my screw. And I chose these screw points to avoid any other screws. Okay, I've got my trusty battery-powered drill, and we're ready to go. So let's get it. Okay, now, and we'll put the first screw in to get everything stabilized. Okay, nothing's moved. We're in good shape. There, we got a good tight one. Now I'm going to take this off and adjust everything, make sure that we're perfectly aligned. I guess I'm going to have to hold that one in place while I drill. Okay, one more drill here. Okay, there's that one, and one more screw, and we're done there. Okay, so as you can see, that's good and stable. So that's going to support the backboard without any problem. Let's move over and do the middle one. Okay, as I showed you before, this is the center line. So I'm going to line this up right here. It doesn't have to be perfect because it's just supporting the backdrop. Ah, darn it, there's a cross piece right there. Makes it hard to get a good grip on it. I'm going to drill this freehanding it because it's easier than to work the other way. There we go. And I can drill both of them at the same time here. Okay. Now I'll put it in place and drill the holes for it. Okay. And now we'll get a screw started here and go at it. Okay, that gives me the starting point. And so I'll set the point of that screw right in that hole that I just drilled. There. Okay, got that one in. We'll check it with a level to see if it's holding vertical, and needs to go about like that. Okay. Now I want to drill this other hole. Like that. And we can go on. There they are. So that's my midpoint support. Okay, so now we've got everything in place. We can check with a scrap and see how it's going to fit. So it's going to be just like this. The new backdrop I'm making is 16 inches tall. These are 15, I believe. So it'll be just a little bit taller, set up a little bit above. So I'm going to go ahead and install the rest of these uprights on the rest of the modules here. But I also want to get started with doing some painting. So let's go over here to the other side of the module, and you can see what I've got set up there. So you can see I've got the pieces of tempered hardboard laid out here on a couple of sawhorses. And each one of these is 8 feet long by 16 inches high to go on the modules. Now each module is 4 feet long, so I'm going to span at least one gap with 2 pieces on these main modules. And maybe at a later date I can cut them in half. For right now I don't need that. So I'm going to paint these. Now for that I've got a small roller here. This works very well. I've used this many times for painting things. And as you can see, I'll zoom in down here. I went up to Lowe's and got some sky blue. And you can see here, I think, from a comparison of the colors, this is the old color, that's the new color. So not too bad. A little bit brighter, I think. I like the new color better, which is good since it's what I bought. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start doing the painting. Very easy. Roll on. This stuff dries very quickly, and it is a great paint. And I have put this stuff together in the past, and it has held up very well on backdrops. So it's just your standard latex wall paint with a matte finish. And it's a Valspar paint, so I guess that's what Lowe's is using. Okay, I'm going to keep doing the painting, get this finished, and I'll be back in a little while. Okay, so that finishes up the first coat. Yeah, the first coat. I always do 2 coats because it gives you a much nicer finish in the end. Takes out a lot of the stripes and lines and things like that. And make sure you get very good dense coverage on here before you start messing with it, because it makes it harder and it'll take whatever bending you're going to do a lot better. So that's it for now, because I've got to wait for this to dry, apply another coat, and then I'll be able to start adding the clamps or brackets or whatever you want to call them to the back side of these, which takes at least 24 hours to dry using the Gorilla Glue. And this is what I use. I think it's the clear Gorilla Glue. Now they make Gorilla Glue that foams when it sets up, and they've got a newer non-foaming version that won't foam out on you. So I suggest that when you go to the hardware store, if you get some Gorilla Glue, get the non-foaming kind. You don't want it foaming up and creating a mess for you. But I have found this stuff, it works great. It holds very well for years at a time. In the meantime, I'm going to finish doing all of this, get it ready to be mounted, and next week we'll be mounting these on the layout, plus I will have another one of these cut and painted by then to go on the corner module. And that takes a little bit of extra work because it has to go around a bend, and it's a couple of very short modules, so those are going to be interesting to work with. So before we do that, I will have those pieces of backboard finish and the uprights attached to the back of those modules. And then after that, it'll just be a matter of actually fitting it and getting a good bend back there. And I'll show you the secret for getting a good bend with tempered hardboard. And it's easy to do once you know the secret. So come on back for next week's video. In the meantime, have a great week and a great weekend, and I'll see you here next week with that video. Bye now.